it's not all about hard work like a lot of people are preaching on the internet. It's also about kind of, in a ways, seemingly disarming ourselves. We think we're protecting ourselves with these excuses, but we're doing ourselves disservices. In some cases, excuses make us feel less vulnerable, but by being vulnerable, we leave ourselves open to opportunity. It's actually true. So this is one of those cases where being vulnerable is actually better for us. So drop the excuses, be vulnerable, and be open to trying out some of these things that are suggested to us, okay? Yo, what up people? Today we're going to be talking about a very important topic whereby a lot of us give ourselves excuses in order to stay weak. And it's like, how about you take away those excuses to stay weak? Like, why are you fighting for that cause? Why are you fighting so that you can be in the right, but ultimately be in an area that's wrong for you? There have been times where I've made excuses about certain things that aren't necessarily good for me. Like, oh, okay, I don't need to organize and I don't need to set all of these things up and look into these, build some kind of structure within my life, strategize with certain things, right? Because I kind of just wanted to like free flow or just do what I was doing, or really it was about laziness. It was just about, oh, I can't be bothered with doing all of those extra things. They seemed at the time laborious to me. Now, I get these periods of ignorance because sometimes when we do get these pieces of enlightening information, we choose to be ignorant because we aren't ready at the time, right? And I don't want that to be another excuse for you to use in your arsenal, because ultimately just remember that that excuse masks hidden potentials within yourself that you could have utilized towards your advantage sooner rather than later. So just imagine, you could be in a better position, you could be in a better place, but you're choosing not to for yourself. How does that feel? Ultimately, you're missing out, and that's what it is. That's what excuses do for you. They allow you to miss out on opportunities that you could grasp sooner, but you choose not to because laziness and ignorance and naivety. And for myself, a lot of that has been the case in certain areas, right? There's been periods where, my mom and dad have told me certain things and I've gone the scenic route, done things the hard way to come round full circle and realize, shit. Do you know what I mean? They were telling me the real source all along, you know what I mean? And here's me, dumbass, ignorance, gone this scenic route to do essentially what they were telling me to do at the start. And it's really annoying, because it's not always the case. See, the thing is, you're not always going to have that foresight. Now, certain things that people with experience tell you will be very, very valid because they've had the experience and they've done the thing. However, that's not always true for every single case because the environment may have changed, the trends may have changed, the times may have changed, the technology may have changed, the outlook and perspective that people have around the world, around the globe, around your locality may have changed as well. So it may, in few cases, not be relevant. Sometimes where your parents tell you, hey, don't do certain ish or go into certain areas, and it actually works out a success for some people, you know what I'm saying? And that's case in point that they're not always correct, but a lot of the times they are. And sometimes that's really difficult to gauge because of your lack of experience and your lack of foresight and knowledge in these areas. Sometimes you're going to be right and sometimes they're going to be right. And the ratio, well, usually that'll reside with experience, but you don't want to miss out on opportunities either way. And that's usually why I go the scenic route, so I can learn for myself and experience myself, and I know for myself, but I still utilize my parents' knowledge and advice as well. You know what I mean? Or at least I know about it and I ask for it, so I know, and then I gain the experience and I quantify them against each other, you know what I mean? That's why a lot of lessons that I've learned are backed by my parents' advice. I'm like, crap. Like, I did this whole long thing, but yeah, like my parents are right with this, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't hurt to say, because, it kind of does, because I'm like, man, I could have saved a lot of resources, but at the same time, it's like, the only way I know is by gaining that experience and then quantifying it against my parents' advice. So the stuff that I now know, because I've gained the experience in doing so as well, frick, it's bittersweet. Bitter, because it's like I could have saved all of those resources, but it could have been one of those situations that, you know, maybe could have worked out if I hadn't have taken the advice, you know what I mean? So really difficult to gauge, and a lot of it will be the same with yourselves. Following from my point with that, the things that I have chosen to incorporate into my daily that have been backed by my parents' advice, it's helped me so much, put fire behind me and movement and energy that I can use productively for a number of things, especially with organization and management, you know, and resources saved and success and thoughtful strategic moves. Yeah, it's really freaking benefited me. So my advice to you guys is, rather than hide behind the excuses and the masks, maybe just try it just for trying's sake when you have free resources. If you don't have free resources, because again, this could be used as an excuse, oh, you know, I don't have the free resources right now, why don't you allocate a certain amount of time per week or per 2 weeks or month to try all of these things out that you think could potentially be useful for you? They could be game changers, right? Now, if more often than not you try things that a certain group of people tell you to try and it doesn't work for you, then maybe you lessen the amount of resources that you allocate to try the things that they have suggested and increase the amount of allocated span to try things that people have suggested to you that have been game changing, right? Because their advice is obviously working a lot more for you, you know what I'm saying? So do that. My advice to you guys, should you choose to take it, is alleviate your excuses, put your excuses to one side and just give those things a try. Just give them a quick try, you know? Some of the things are very sort of resource heavy, whereby when you try them, you're gonna need to give them a certain amount of goes in order to really get a sense of how they may benefit you and if they benefit you, you know what I'm saying? In which case, yeah, you're gonna have to measure that depending on your lifestyle, how busy you are, your goals, your ambitions, and you know, what that takes away from those, etc. And it may not even take away, it may really improve and really boost. And that's what you're trying to find out, and that's what you're trying to measure, you know? But it's very difficult to measure those if you mask, stamp them, and cover them all with excuses and push them to the side and just leave them for months on end. This one particular organizational tool that my mom and dad were telling me for a minute, I put off for about, I'd say 2 years. And I'd say, yo, I could have made a maybe 8x progress if I'd have utilized those things 2 years ago. And then let's not even forget the compounding effect as well. So that 8x could easily be 10x on top of the 8x, or even 100 on top of the 8x. So it could have been way more beneficial than even I foresee now if I'd have taken that on earlier. So one of my greatest pieces of advice to you is be more open. Take down the excuses and just give it a try. Just a real quick try just to see. It doesn't harm you, it doesn't take away that much from you. Just give them a real quick try and test just to see, you know what I'm saying? Even if you can do it for a week or a couple of days, a month, some of these differences are actually exponential. And it's the reason why people with experience are telling us to do these things, because they want to help us, not hinder us, right? They want us to succeed. So do those people the honor of respecting and acknowledging their advice. Don't do yourself the disservice of seemingly trying to protect yourself with excuses, even though you aren't. You're hindering yourself and holding yourself back. And just give these things a try. Just test them. Just test to see it could benefit you. Okay? You don't have to keep it if it's not benefiting you and you can't fit it or integrate it into your lifestyle and it's not helping. Real talk, you don't have to do that. Like, no one's forcing you to do that, right? But if they could help you that extra bit in a meaningful way, those compound, those matter, those make a frat ton of difference. They really freaking do. Those small things, they make a frat ton of difference. I'm not playing, bro. I'm not playing, sis. They make a huge difference. Simple things make a difference, fam. They do. So give them, the very least you can do is just give them a try. just to see. And then once you do give them a try, and if they do work for you, use your imagination. Be like, oh, okay, well, if I do this over a long period, then, do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, it's no joke thing, you know what I mean? It's no joke. You're like, holy crap, this actually makes a difference over this period. You know what I mean? So do yourself a favor and stop doing yourself a disservice by hiding behind excuses. Okay, guys? It's not all about hard work like a lot of people are preaching on the internet. It's also about kind of, in a ways, seemingly disarming ourselves. You know, we think we're protecting ourselves with these excuses, but we're doing ourselves disservices. In some cases, excuses make us feel less vulnerable, but by being vulnerable, we leave ourselves open to opportunity. It's actually true. So this is one of those cases where being vulnerable is actually better for us. So drop the excuses, be vulnerable, and be open to trying out some of these things that are suggested to us, okay? Thanks so much for listening today. I appreciate and love all of you guys. That has been an absolute game changer for me. So I'm very cognizant of dropping excuses and just trying and just testing, you know what I mean? Because these things can make a massive difference. Be wary though of, again, like I say, tons of advice from the same people that haven't resulted in success for you, because then maybe you want to lessen the amount that you're testing on their side and increase in the amount that you're testing on advice that has worked for you from people that res with you in a much better way. Okay? Thanks so much, guys. Love you all. Appreciate you. Drop the excuses. Have a great day, and I'll see you for the next video. Take it easy.